Welcome in to the Casual Gaming Conversation. I'm Connor. That's Nick. This is your weekly gaming podcast from Co-op 64. We're coming at you with our hot takes this week. We got a good main topic. We're breaking down every single game of the year winner at the Game Awards and ranking them for the last decade, 2014 to 2023. I guess I wanted to say 2024. That would sound a lot nicer, but yeah, till 2023.
10 years, that's how time works.
Yes,
yeah. That's how numbers
time
work.
is rude. Yeah. And then we are doing a PlayStation 3 games draft at the end. We did 360, and I'm just now kind of having a crisis of faith, being like, did we already do PS3? We've done so many of them at this point. We haven't done PS3, right?
I don't think we've done PS3.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Done 360.
All right, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, I've never drafted things like Journey before.
Yeah. Oh, you're drafting Journey.
It's on my list.
Yeah,
It's
interesting.
on my list. It's not.
Yeah, that was the one that I was like, oh fuck. I was writing down. I had like 12 down, and then I had Journey, and then I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, put that at the top or towards the top.
Connor's drafting it first overall.
No, I'm not. Am I? I think I'm first this week. Yeah. How we doing? Feeling good?
Yeah, this is a weird one because this is the first time we shot on a Wednesday in 2 months,
Yeah.
basically.
So we're shooting this out of order in the timeline in the Co-op 64 timeline because we have the subathon this weekend playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, but by the time you see this, we will be done with the Final Fantasy VII Remake subathon. So you're seeing us before battle, before war here.
Future Nick and Connor, great job. Way to go for at least 24 hours.
Elden Ring 2 was announced in that time as well.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Oh my God.
They showed the trailer for Shadow of the Erdtree, and then
boom,
in
Elden
between
Ring
shooting
2.
this and when you guys see it.
And then Brady died this weekend too.
We're predicting
Tragic
the future.
car
and
accident. It's bad.
We got to do it every single time. Shoot our shots.
Yep.
Kirby died. Kirby's dead now. Rest in peace. Very sad. Very sad. Car accident and a drug overdose.
Jeez.
At the same time.
I'm just imagining Kirby and then like right as they're falling asleep, their mouths wide open, then they just suck everything in, black hole. The world's over.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's Kirby's power. Kirby has the power to end the world.
I think so.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
We don't have a ton of time. This is another one of those situations where we used to shoot on Wednesdays when it have to be pushed up against stream. So we've been able to go as long as we freaking wanted lately, but today we have a little bit of a time crunch.
Yep.
So I'm not going to waste any time. Nick, hit me with your hot take.
Connor, this is going to sound very odd, but stick with me on it. I have been in the boat. I've been on a roller coaster for the past few days. Roller coaster of emotions when it comes to gaming in the year 2024. I've been up, and then the Nintendo news comes, and I've been down. If you want to hear my thoughts on potentially the next console for the Switch 2 coming out next year, most likely, go check out the last pod. And then all of a sudden we get Shadow of the Erdtree, and I'm back in. I think for my hot take this week, that this year's high, the highest high for me personally gaming, will be higher than the greatest year in gaming, which was last year. And I think that the thing that is going to lead that charge is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, obviously, followed by me completing Elden Ring and beating Shadow of the Erdtree.
Okay.
I think that when you look at last year's gaming, you have games like Baldur's Gate Tears, Alan Wake 2, FF16. Personally, like FF16, my game of the year, one of the greatest games of all time. I'm like, if I fully understand, we're going to get to talk a lot about Elden Ring today. I fully understand that Elden Ring is one of the greatest games of all time, if not the greatest game of all time. Like that game is a masterpiece. When you are behind the sticks, I only played 25 hours of it. I got to a point where I legitimately was like, what was I doing? I was like, oh, you were doing really poor in college. You had to focus on your grades. That's why you put it down. Because I was wondering why I didn't beat it or play more of it. But that game is amazing, and I'm actually really excited to use this. The time, it's going to be great. We're going to have like E3 happening, E3 season, which is now Summer Game Fest, happening, and then I'm going to get all juiced up for games, and then like around like June 3rd, I'm going to start up Elden Ring, beat Elden Ring in 20 days. And then hop into Shadow of the Erdtree. It's going to be awesome.
We'll see. Nick makes a lot of plans. Makes a lot of
I make a lot of plans, but recently those plans I've done all of them when it's like
Halo's done?
Halo's not done, but it's gonna be done real soon.
Interesting.
Okay.
That was supposed to be done in January.
It is now. Yeah, I need
The
to.
end of February.
Yeah, geez. February, but these games will get beaten in the same way that I do believe. I'll play some of it on stream. I want to move some streaming
Yeah,
stuff
that'd be
around to be
fun.
able to really push me to do it, because I think that a lot of people in our audience have been. There's been that discussion of like, hey, do we just make Brady play Bloodborne just for the fuck of it?
Oh,
Like that
it'd
would
be
be
so
so much fun.
good.
And so
It's
yeah,
not that hard to. He would get his teeth kicked in for the first few hours,
Yep.
and then he'd be getting into the flow, and
Yep.
then he'd be feeling good, and then he'd just be rocking it.
so, but I think with those two games, I think that there's a good chance that I'm like, yep, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has the making to be a 9.5, 10 out of 10 game on the Co-op 64 scale, which is potentially better than anything that we had last year. And if Shadow of the Erdtree hits the way that I know it can, it's like, okay, it's making a massive DLC for arguably the greatest game of all time. It should be game of the year contending. So I am in a spot that I'm like, yep, this now I'm back in on 2024, but for the reason I wasn't before, which is like, if we get Hades and it's 2 and it's amazing, or we get Hollow Knight Silksong and it's amazing. Hades, I believe, is more definitive. It should be out Q2 this year. I expect we'll hear a little bit more in April, around that time. But with that being said, yeah, the year's starting to like brighten up without the Switch console successor being in play, and I'm excited for it. So that's my hot take. I think that this year's top end is gonna be better than next year or last year, which is the greatest year in gaming.
Okay. Yeah, I don't agree,
Yeah.
but I can see where you're coming from. I'm excited for Erdtree. We can just talk about that right now because I wrote that down that we should discuss it. June 21st.
Yes.
I have not beaten Elden Ring. I've played like 40 hours. I was talking about it in the Discord today that my biggest scruple with that game is its biggest strength is its biggest weakness. With games that are open-ended with direction like Breath of the Wild, I always felt like no matter which direction I went in, I would run into something exciting and interesting to do, whether it be a shrine, a little cave, a new weapon to find, a Lionel, labyrinth to run through, or just go do like the main mission or a side quest. But in Elden Ring, the thing that kind of took me off my path was I spent literally 3 hours going up towards something, thinking I was like progressing the story or doing some sort of meanwhile or a worthwhile, meaningful mission. And I get to the top and they're like, you don't have the correct item to do this right now. Go find it. And we're not going to give you very many directions to go find it. So you just wasted 3 hours. You just shouldn't even be here. And I was like, well, I just, that kind of killed my entire momentum. So like, I think I just need to play that game with a little bit of a guide next to me, which sucks because I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm someone that
maybe I'm just dumb. So maybe I'm just stupid and don't know what I was doing and just kind of could have figured it out.
As a certified Souls hater, because I tried Bloodborne and I hated it. And Connor has been imploring me to go back into it's Yharnam, right? That's into Yharnam. I've not had that urge, but I have a lot more urge to play Elden Ring because I love Elden Ring. Like Elden Ring is definitely one of the best games I've ever laid my hands on. I can't give it a score or anything, but enough people over the years have given it a score, and I agree with those scores. So yeah, that's my take on it. I'm super stoked for it. Like, I think $40. The original cost $60 on PS4. Like, that's gonna be a meaty freaking expansion. Like, I believe it's going to be huge, and I think it's going to be enough to potentially win Game of the Year this year.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it could. I could certainly see that happening.
I think that you're going to be very happy with your Fantasy Critics score that you got.
Oh yeah, that's a 96.
96, easy in the
30
bank.
hours, 40 hours, maybe.
Yeah, if it's 30 hours and it's the greatest 30 hours of gaming this year, it should win Game of the Year.
Interesting. So. But it's still just I don't know.
It's a DLC, but it's I don't. It's a DLC. Like,
I mean, I had Phantom Liberty towards the top of my list last year, so I can't really speak.
Yep. All right, Connor, what's your hot take?
I'm pivoting. I'm completely pivoting. I thought about this earlier, but but then you started talking, and I was like, oh wait, yeah, this is actually what I want to do. So in video games, we agree that the thing that makes video games great is that they're fun to play, right?
That fun per minute, bro.
Yeah, I want to feel good on the sticks, and at the end of the day, that's really what makes video games a video game. If I want a great story, I can go to a movie or a TV show. But
Yeah.
if I want great visuals, I can also get that from a movie or TV show, great cinematography, whatever. And that doesn't mean that video games don't or shouldn't have great visuals or great soundtrack or whatever. But at the end of the day, I want the game to feel good to play. And to make it feel good to play,
This is about to be so dumb. I'm already so
it
against this hot
needs
take.
to be at least 60 frames per second. There is no excuse in the year 2024 to not have it be 60 frames per second. And I would assert with this hot take for this week that you need to bump down the visual fidelity. PS3 and PS4 games look good enough. They do not need to look better than this. Games do not need to keep getting bigger at the cost of games being fun and the games being held back by poor, choppy frame rates. 30 frames per second in 2024 is a travesty. You should not release your game. These consoles should not have any problem. Any problem. The promise of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X was that we were not going to have 30 frames per second games anymore, and we're still getting them. Stop it. Focus, people. Make
It's
your
that
game.
They can do it. It's that those boxes can do
But
it.
the scope gets too big, or they're not optimized enough. That is a skill issue
That is
on
a
the studio's
developer
part.
issue,
Exactly,
yeah.
it's a skill issue on the developer's part, but it's also a management issue because they're making these games too big or too beautiful to be able to handle 60 frames per second. How the fuck does God of War Ragnarok on PS5 run at 120 frames per second, but Starfield on Series X can only run at 30? That doesn't
it had
make
to be optimized for Series S also.
still, it doesn't. No, it should. That's not true. The promise of Series X and Series S needs
know that they
to be
could.
that they can have that
I know.
difference. Like, it's ridiculous. You need to hit 60 frames per second on all of your games now. It is imperative.
I disagree.
Because at the end of the day, it's about the game being fun. And you're hurting the game's fun and fluidity by making it run at 30 frames per second or less in some instances, Nick, or less.
Connor, you're equating frames per second to fun, and that is just so wrong in my world.
It relates.
I fucking
it does
play
relate.
Geometry Dash and have a great time at like 20 frames per second.
I'm pretty sure
like,
Geometry Dash runs at 60 frames per second. A lot of old games run at 60 frames
know.
per second. Like, PS1 games, a lot of them do. They're certainly.
Yeah.
I was playing Ape Escape a few months ago, and it runs at like 2 frames a second in certain sequences. It's like, holy shit, how do we deal with this? But yeah, no, 60 frames is the standard now. There's no excuse. There's no excuse to not get it figured out.
If you want my take on it, just check out our
I
last
know,
pod.
exactly. I needed my counter take. It needs to be 60 frames, and if we get PS6 games and I get a 30 frame PS6 game, I am throwing the box out the fucking window. Why do games need to look this good? They don't need to look this good. Look at Ghost of Tsushima. Look at The Last of Us Part 2. They look ridiculous still. The idea that the Switch is going to be as powerful as a PS4 and people are, ooh.
But once again, it's not a box problem.
insane.
It's not a box problem. It's a dev problem. Where like the box is going to allow you to be able to do it. Like there shouldn't be a cap on it.
So that
It's a studio issue.
give them more time or make the games shorter and tighter so they can focus on making the game run better.
I mean, you know me, I'm all for short games. I don't care. But if there's a short, amazing game that's at 30, I'm not gonna be like they should have done something different to get it to 60 if they couldn't get it to 60.
Do we know if Hellblade is running at 30 or 60?
I don't know.
That's got to be running
gotta
at
be
30.
60.
It's got to be running at 30.
No,
There's
you're right.
it's not.
Goddamn, it better run at 60.
I'm playing that on PC no matter what.
Same. Yeah.
Jeez Louise, that's
All right.
ridiculous. But yeah, that's my hot take. And it's hard being right about 60 frames.
It's okay. This is agree to disagree.
Okay, we are going to get into the main topic here. We are going through the Game Awards winner from 2014 to now and ranking them. That is 10 games.
All right.
And the way we are going to do that is we're going to say, we're going to start with the game and then we're going to decide which one's better, basically.
Yep.
Between like 14 and 15, and then whoever wins that,
Yep.
King of the Hill style.
King of the Hill style. But I'm going to use my whiteboard to start placing these games, and I'll be erasing and doing the damn thing.
You got so visibly upset with my take, and I'm laughing so hard.
I'm okay. This is a take. This is one of those moments on the pod where I'm just like, I've said what I need to say. He said what he needs to say. I'm not going to attack Khan at all. I'm just going to listen, respect, and move on.
All right. So how are we doing this? You want me to read off the first game?
Yeah, I think that we put It's so funny looking back because I have my personal list. We'll both go through our personal rankings of these games at the end. And obviously certain things will shine throughout this pod.
Oh, also, we haven't beaten all of these games.
Oh, yeah,
or played them to some extent. I
yeah.
think I played every single one of these to some extent.
I've not touched Dragon Age.
I've touched Dragon Age. Played to some extent. Played to some extent. Played to some extent. Barely. That's honestly the biggest one.
Yeah, that'll be fun. All right,
okay,
but
so
yeah,
we keep that in mind. We are speculating. There's going to be some speculation on where something should go.
Especially with this first one with Dragon Age for me, because Dragon Age Inquisition is something that I've just
it's not very
touched.
good.
What was the lineup in 2014? That
I have all of them.
Yeah,
it was only 5 games, and I don't know when they
was
switched
this when
to 6.
Stick of Truth was on there and stuff like that. Was that year?
When did they switch to 6 games?
I don't know. 2020, I think it might have been 2020.
Yeah, 2018.
Oh, 2018.
For 2014, it was Hearthstone, Dark Souls 2, Bayonetta 2, and Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah,
that's a rough year.
Of games.
If Dark Souls 2 is up there, honestly, I think that Bayonetta 2 probably should have won that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's probably the best game on here and the most timeless game on here. People still talk about and enjoy Bayonetta 2.
Yeah, no one. I've never heard, as someone that's followed this industry for 7 or 8 years now, I've never heard anyone talk about Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah, it's BioWare, so it had that. This is their last, like, for a lot of people, great game, because then you get Andromeda after that, and then Anthem, and then now you get the garbage that's happening with Dreadwolf and
whatever
in the next Mass Effect, because nobody at BioWare is BioWare anymore. It's just a bunch of people who took over the name, essentially. Like everybody
cover band.
Exactly. Everybody who made BioWare is gone. So I think we should. So are we just gonna kind of adjust?
Yeah,
for
I'll
this?
be adjusting and erasing. I'm gonna be like, I got 1 through 10 right now. I'm gonna put them at 10, and then like we'll be climbing the ladder.
Okay. So put Dragon Age at 10.
Yep.
So then with The Witcher 3, which was 2015's winner, which won over Metal Gear Solid 5, Bloodborne, Super Mario Maker, and Fallout 4. We should also say what we think should have won.
I mean, we'll that'll just come up. We'll probably do a podcast topic later of like officially talking about that and making cases. Yeah, Bloodborne.
I think Bloodborne should have won.
I think a lot of people think Bloodborne.
So I think Bloodborne is the better game, but also I think that The Witcher 3, like, in almost a lot of, like, on paper, kind of like, probably for like cultural relevance and
it's up there
and specific aspects that I think are like really impressive for like an open world game, that like The Witcher 3 has stood the test of time. But so is Bloodborne in a way. But I think The Witcher 3...
Bloodborne, your argument, it can't be a fun game. It runs at 20 frames, Connor.
That's not what I'm saying. I think that game would be way better if it ran at 60.
I think everyone agrees that it would be better to
Nick,
run
I'm
at 60.
talking about in 2024. It's different on the PS4.
Anyways, The Witcher.
The Witcher 3. So do we want to speculate where we think it's gonna land?
No,
it's better than Dragon Age.
It's better than Dragon Age,
obviously.
Let's just bump it up. The Witcher 3.
All right.
So we got Dragon Age at 10, The Witcher 3 at 9 currently.
Maybe doing a lot of racing.
Yep.
In 2016, we have Overwatch, which won over Titanfall 2, Doom, Inside, and Uncharted 4. An interesting time and place kind of deal with Overwatch, where like the history of Overwatch is so dampened now with Overwatch 2 and Blizzard and where they're at currently, that like it's weird to think that Overwatch won, but dude, it was so big when it came out that it makes sense. But at the same time, it's like Uncharted 4, Titanfall 2,
dude,
Inside, Doom. I would take any of these games.
I was about to say, these games are all tested time wise. Like looking back in retrospect, like I think Uncharted 4 is a perfect video game. I think Doom is one of the. I know you don't. I think Inside is terrific. That was awesome to play last weekend. I think that Doom is awesome. It's just awesome. Like the only way you can talk about the game is just like Doom. Kidding me?
Right.
Like, by the way,
I like Overwatch. You haven't played Overwatch at all, right?
I played Overwatch at some friends' places for my entire senior year summer.
Okay,
so that was a lot of fun.
I played a ton at this point.
I probably played 10 hours of Overwatch, which is solid. I know what Overwatch is. I know what, again.
I came to Overwatch like a few months before Overwatch 2 came out. So like I was getting into it then, like the summer or whatever before Overwatch 2 dropped, and I had a blast with it with friends, but I wasn't there for the fever pitch, but I would still say, what are we thinking?
So it's right now. I actually reversed it. We're now going to put things at number 1 and not number 10. So
Okay.
we'll move things down the list instead of trying to put just things above it.
I think it would be more fun to
To
just
try
try to
guess.
put where we're gonna
All right.
put it.
Then
So I think so let's go back. I think Dragon Age is gonna be 10.
yeah, let's put it at 10 for now.
Nick and I know what's on this for the most
Yeah,
part.
I've been able to do this.
I
for
think The
years.
Witcher 3 is gonna be 3.
I think it's gonna be 4. I'm putting it 4 for now.
Wow. I think Overwatch is gonna be 9 or 8.
I think it's gonna be 9.
Okay, we can put it there for now.
Okay.
In 2017, we have The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
It's a conversation of is it better than? Oh, you want to read the rest of the games? Yeah.
Which
Persona
one over
5.
Persona 5, Mario Odyssey, Horizon Zero Dawn, and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I think I have Persona 5 ranked above this.
Oh, you do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love Mario Odyssey, but I like 64 more, and that's why it's not on my top 50. But yeah, I think this is the deserved winner here, especially for like that year. So like
Yeah.
my own opinion based off of like also like the industry perspective or whatever.
Yeah.
I think the Breath of the Wild like took over in
Oh,
2017,
it
and that
was
is
the game of
yeah.
the year too.
100%.
100%.
I think we can comfortably. I want to put this at 2.
Let's just throw them on the podium for now.
You just want to put it at 3?
I just want to put them at 3 for now.
Okay.
It's gonna be interesting because
Yeah, because here we go. Here's where we start.
Oh god.
Because in 2018, God of War, the reboot, won over Monster Hunter World, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Marvel's Spider-Man, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Celeste.
I believe you should be able to talk about this.
Yeah,
Red Dead 2.
I think Red Dead 2 is better.
Yeah, it's your
personally.
number 3 game on the list.
Yeah.
Which is fun to we get to talk about that.
It's interesting because like I think I might like God of War more or like it would impact me more, but Red Dead Redemption 2 is the better fucking game. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a marvel of game creation,
It's too
writing.
slow at points.
The slowness is the point.
I know
Nick.
you like this slowness.
No, that's the thing though. It's like you might not like it. It might not be for you, but what it sets out to do, its mission, it succeeds in every single facet. Like
I understand.
it makes you
God of War is a
into
masterpiece. It's the greatest. It's one of the greatest video game stories of all time. It's, if not the greatest video game story of all time. It has way more fun combat than Red Dead Redemption 2. Way more fun.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What's the better story? God of War. What's the better combat?
I don't know about
God of War. Characters even. Give me God of War. Anyways.
I don't know. No, there's other conversations to be had. Like music, I think Red Dead stands up to it. Yeah,
It stands out.
I honestly don't even think that I like God of War's music
God of
just
War's
fine.
theme
It's
is
not that
so
great.
it's unbelievable. And not just the main
You
theme.
listen
everything.
to the music, right? Like on your
Yeah,
free time.
regular.
I've never done that once in my life. I did that for Red Dead. But so either way, that's not the discussion we're having right
Yep.
now. God of War, where does it fall on the list? I think that Breath of the Wild is a better game than God of War.
I don't.
Yeah, you see, this is where
This is where it gets in. This is why I asked Connor, I was like, should we shoot this live? Because we might need a tiebreaker. You want to just throw it in Discord?
Yeah.
Let's just throw it in Discord. What's the better game, Breath of the Wild or God of War? And then first to 5 votes wins it.
Yeah, start discussing the next one.
The next game, 2019. What a weird year for the game of the year it was. There was things like remakes on there for the first time. We got Sekiro, Shadows Dies Twice, as the game of the year, which honestly it's weird because when I think about Sekiro, I'm like, a lot of people have it as a worse game than Bloodborne, but this is the game of the year winner when Bloodborne is not. So I think that it's going to be a lower game on our list, especially because we've already discussed that when there's 2 better FromSoft games that we will discuss and then have already discussed. But I mean, perfect combat. It's the parry system is probably the greatest parry system of all time, and some people say that the combat's the greatest combat in any game ever. Not trying to take away from Sekiro. It's definitely better than certain games on this list, but when you're talking about game of the year, it's pretty tough to deal with.
Sorry, I'm still trying to figure this out.
Just say what's the better game, God of War or Breath of the Wild. We're shooting the podcast. We need help.
I'm working on it.
Anyways, I'm gonna go with Sekiro being worse than The Witcher 3, and I'm gonna just start debating at throwing it around 7. You need to, does that sound
Yeah.
okay? Cool. I want to hear the other games on 2019.
2019 also had The Outer Worlds, Death Stranding, Control, and Smash Bros. Ultimate. I can't speak to Sekiro. Honestly, I think if I beat Sekiro based off of the amount of time that I put into it and what I experienced, I think it might be my favorite FromSoft game. Dude, Sekiro was awesome.
But let's be honest though. Smash Bros should have won that year. The only reason Smash Bros.
Death Stranding.
Smash Bros got fucked in my opinion with this entire thing. Because it was a game that came out in 2018, but it came out too late in 2018 to be nominated for 2018. Yeah, all right, fine.
Breath of the Wild in a vote 1-6.
But we're putting God of War above The Witcher 3,
right? Yes, yeah.
Okay. Moving The Witcher 3 down to 5, putting God of War at 4. All right.
Okay, and then Sekiro, I think, should go at...
I said 7, just to get it somewhere. Do you think that it's a better, more definitive game than The Witcher 3? I don't. For cultural impact and relevancy, people talk about The Witcher 3 as the best in its class for open world games.
I think it's
where
got to go
Sekiro
at 6.
is
I think
below.
6 is fine.
6?
For now, and then we can discuss after that.
Well, there's going to be a lot of erasing for Old Nicky Two Shoes because we have a giant chunk. By the way, this is just nasty. I'm trying not to show the board until the very end, but this is where we stand right now with like Sekiro at 6, and we got 5 through 3.
Is that a K? That's not even a K.
That's okay.
Oh my god, it looks like a B. It does.
It does.
Alrighty, so Sekiro at 6 as it stands right now. Do you just go over it? Dragon Age Inquisition at 10, Overwatch at 9, 8 and 7 are open. Sekiro at 6, The Witcher 3 at 5, God of War 2018 at 4, Breath of the Wild at 3, 2 and 1 are open.
Right.
Because in 2020, one of the best years in gaming,
Yep, like either
The Last of Us Part 2 won.
Yep, it showed up.
Hades,
Great
Animal
game.
Crossing New Horizons, Doom Eternal, Ghosts of Tsushima, and Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I can admit that The Last of Us Part 2 is a better game than Remake.
It is.
My favorite.
That's the best game this year.
Yeah, it's the best.
And I
game this year.
love almost every single game on this list, and I think The Last of Us Part 2 is the best game on this.
Now the question is it number 1 or number 2?
Nick, this is all gonna have to get weird because we have Baldur's Gate and
I
Elden
know.
Ring coming up.
I'm just gonna say for now, let's put it at 2.
Yeah, that's fine.
The Last of Us 2 is going in at number 2 above Breath of the Wild. The Last of Us 2 is I've said it many times. Like Last of Us 1 and 2 is my favorite story in any media.
I didn't know that about you.
Do you not remember the summer debate thing? This is a fun story. I went and like it's summer 2 years ago. I'm up hanging out with a bunch of friends. We're on a beach, and we're like sort of in a awkwardish like not a lot of people are talking, and so my job in the friend group pretty often is just to like bring up a random point and make discussion out of it. And I go and I just say, I think The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 is the greatest story in anything ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately I'm getting flamed, and people are just like, the fucking Bible, dude, like just like random
the
shit.
Bible.
Someone's like a fucking the Odyssey.
Bible's a snooze. Fest,
That's
dude.
true. The Odyssey, like there's like just like, and I'm like, no, I think this is better. And I brought up the reasons, and I think gameplay is a huge part of The Last of Us Part 2, especially putting you in those shoes. Is just immensely important. I think that that's a big thing that's gonna be lost in the TV show for Part 2,
Right.
because it's just so difficult to like. That is a great story
I think
on
it
its
needs
own,
to be a video game.
but
Personally.
it needs being a video game makes it better, and that
I'm
was
fascinated to see how they do
Yep.
the show. I am so interested.
I think they're just gonna tell the story and add some things. Anyways, but The Last of Us Part 2, and so anytime that entire summer there was like a dead moment of conversation, or someone new was like hanging out with us. It would just be, hey, Nick thinks that that The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 together are the greatest story ever, better than anything ever on TV, movies, written media. And I'm like, yeah.
I think Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is probably the best story ever written, and that's an anime, so I don't really think that.
Well, it's a weird.
I think it's the best
thing.
piece of media I've ever consumed. Personally.
Yeah, for me, I think if you combine The Last of Us 1 and 2 together, that's it for me.
All right, let's move on to 2021, which for the winner was It Takes Two, with following up runner-ups were Resident Evil Village, Metroid Dread, Deathloop, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Psychonauts 2.
He said Psychonauts 2. You got so low that I didn't even see you pick up.
Psychonauts 2.
There you go.
I don't know why I was doing that.
Anyways, I think that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart should have won this year.
It's interesting because I think It Takes Two is like the most interesting game on here by a
Totally.
wide margin, and I think creativity and passion in the industry needs to be really highlighted. So I'm glad It Takes Two won. There's a reaction on our channel of us
great.
kind
It's
of
a
losing
great
it,
reaction.
being really stoked
We're
for It Takes
stoked
Two.
for it.
I think this game's fantastic.
Yep.
From what I played like 2/3 of it. Too long. This game
too
is
long.
too goddamn long.
I beat this game. It's too fucking long. It's like a 25-hour game, dude.
Not 25 hours, but it's still crazy long. Like I was like, how
like-
much do we have left? And he's like halfway, and I'm like, what? I think I played this game for like 10 hours. So with that in mind, I think I'm comfortable throwing this at 8 over Overwatch.
It's 14 hours. It felt like 20 hours. The person I was playing with sucked, so it took
Okay.
a long time. Anyways, yeah, I'm down for 8.
I feel like it should be 8 hours. That would have been perfect.
It could have been 6 hours. Like it could have been way shorter. But it's honestly part of the reason though that because it's as long as it is, it's actually really impressive. That it is as long as it is.
Great art style, great
art style.
Yeah.
A story
Music,
though that is kind
visuals.
of frustrating at moments.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
We have 2 games left, and they're 2 of the greatest games of all time. We're moving things down. Is what's happening.
One of them's because one of these isn't going at 7.
Yeah.
In 2022, we have Elden Ring, which won over Xenoblade Chronicles, A Plague Tale Requiem, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and God of War Ragnarok.
In retrospect, where I'm at with God of War Ragnarok versus Elden Ring, the debate up top that year, Elden Ring's a better video game.
Oh yeah,
It's a better video game. Like it is. And I preferred God of War Ragnarok that year, and I said that on a podcast. But because I think it's a really great game. But in retrospect and where I sit with it now, it's a 9 out of 10 for me. And,
it's not even close to the original.
And I think, I think
from a story standpoint,
I think God of War 2018 is a 10 out of 10. And so, Elden Ring, being Elden Ring, one of the greatest games of all time. If someone's like, it is definitively the greatest game of all time, or one of our founders, Shane, says it all the time that it's the greatest game of all time. I think
a lot of people on my top 50
bad
are expecting it to be number 1.
Yeah.
And if I had beaten it, it could have been.
Yeah. So I'm okay with putting this at number 2.
Below.
I think below The Last of Us 2.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
So above Breath of the Wild, below The Last of Us 2. You agree with that take?
Yeah,
by the way,
that's fine.
No, you agree with the Elden Ring versus God of War discussion.
Yeah. I think God of War is great, and I had a great time with it. I thought the ending was a little bit flat, and the story overall was quite bloated in areas, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great sequel, but it is nowhere near as important and as vast and as interesting of a game as Elden Ring was. I want to say this on camera. I thought Elden Ring wasn't going to be very good. My theory was that
you were terrified about it. You're like, there's no way they can do it all.
Well, it was the idea that like moving from a more linear or like not linear because the winding maps of Dark Souls and Bloodborne and the like are big and you can kind of go to different areas, but like going full on open world and like the spaces looked really empty in between, and then I was like, I don't know if they're going to be able to make this transition. And I didn't think it was going to be bad necessarily. I thought it was going to. We were doing our draft, and I was like, there's no. I think there's other games in 2022 that have a better chance of like definitely being great.
Number 1 overall, and you were like,
I was like, there could be some.
War,
there could be some growing pains here from going from this style to a full on open world. So I was worried about it, and then it dropped, and it was one of those situations where like I was just completely wrong, and I was glad to be completely wrong.
I played an hour of that game, and I was like, this might be the greatest game of all time.
Yeah.
Like
you tried to fight the tree sentinel like over and over again. The horse guy,
I ended up beating him, but like 10 hours in, fucking gave him the work.
You didn't need to do that.
I know I didn't. So right now where it stands, we have number 7 open, so things are getting moved down because we got Baldur's Gate 3.
In 2023, we have Baldur's Gate 3 with Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4. Super Mario Bros. Wonder and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
We've discussed this many times, so I'm not going to just make like anyone upset or whatever. It's fine. I don't think like I prefer other games on that list. I prefer Final Fantasy 16 to Baldur's Gate 3 with our experience that we have with it. It's a game that's not for us. Is it one of the greatest games of all time? Yes. Is it going to be like? I really enjoyed my time with It Takes Two. I think that game's a 9 out of 10, and for my experience, and I beat it, and I love it. Baldur's Gate is going to go above it, though, for sure, because it's a better fucking game.
Right.
And what we're trying to do is take a little bit of objectivity with subjectivity with this list, especially for something that we played the same amount of Baldur's Gate 3. We played the exact same scenario, Baldur's Gate 3. And the question, though, is where does it go on this fucking list?
So I just need to take my experience talking to other people and seeing what other people have done in that game and how they feel about it and kind of apply that here. So like, just understand this is like this is totally like nebulously subjective. Like,
Oh, yeah.
This is where the list, like, I think I can make a really solid opinion for almost anything except for Dragon Age Inquisition, which I'm really using the industry's feelings towards that game at this point, where I feel like nobody talks about Dragon Age Inquisition, and most
Same.
people look at 2014 and are like, that was one of the worst years in gaming, and that's why it won. So that's why that's ending up there. Everything else I have like an opinion on.
Yep.
Baldur's Gate 3 is one of those situations where it's like, I can't really have that deep of an opinion on it because A, didn't play enough of it, and B, it's not my kind of game anyways. Like, I like turn-based games, but I didn't find the combat in that game very fun. And I didn't necessarily it didn't get its hooks in me in the same. I didn't find the story super interesting.
We weren't
or super
excited
gripping.
to play it every Monday.
Yeah.
Like that was a big thing where I was like, after the first play session, I was like, oh, okay, like I'm interested. But now it's like, by the third stream, it's like, oh, fuck.
Oh, I also don't really like high fantasy that much. That's why it's taken me so long to get into the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not drawn to these kind of settings for the most part. Like, there's cool ones and definitely ones that I enjoy more than others. But yeah, I am not a huge Baldur's Gate guy. So with all of that in mind, I think that it's a more important game than Sekiro.
Yep, I agree.
But I think it is a worse game than The Witcher 3. And I feel like I can make that argument, and I think a lot of people would agree.
I 1000% agree.
Yeah.
I think that
I think a lot of people, like, you can make the argument that the games above it are better than it. And I don't think it would piss a ton of people off. But I think it's
once again, it's game of the year winners.
It's funny, there's a tier it feels like there's a tier
tiers.
break. Now, there's a total tier break between 7 and 8, where Sekiro to BG3, and then I think BG3 to the top is like, if somebody was like, this is the greatest game of all
ever.
time, on their top 50 list, I would be like, okay, I can live with that.
Sekiro is the only one where I'm like, you need to make a real good case.
Yeah.
Because, like, obviously, it's not just comparing it to the industry as a whole, but you compare it to just FromSoft.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Whereas everything else, The Witcher 3, one of, if not the greatest open world game of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Breath of the Wild, one of the greatest, if not, like, you get through it and you're like, okay, like, yeah, this is, I completely agree. 6 and above, it's like, you can make the case. Completely understandable.
Mm-hmm.
7 and below, it's like, iffy. And I think Sekiro is in a tier of its own, where it's like, someone could give Sekiro a 10, and I would be like,
Okay.
all right, yeah.
Yeah.
But everything below it, I'm like, you're really going to give It Takes Two a 10?
Yeah.
For me, I think it's definitively the second best co-op experience in gaming,
Right.
like for story games besides Portal 2.
Have you played Overcooked?
I was about to say, have you played fucking Call of Duty with the boys? Have you played
Right.
Helldivers, Connor?
Oh my God, we're
Fucking
diving.
fight
We're
for
spreading democracy,
dude.
baby.
So yeah, below it, let me read off the list where it stands. Number 1, The Last of Us Part 2. Number 2, Elden Ring. Number 3, Breath of the Wild. Number 4, God of War. Number 5, The Witcher 3. Number 6, Baldur's Gate 3. Number 7, Sekiro. Number 8, It Takes Two. Number 9, Overwatch. Number 10, Dragon Age Inquisition.
I love this list, honestly. I think this is totally great.
I think that we did a real good job.
I want to get back to Elden Ring. I think about it all the time. I think about getting back to it now with Shadow of the Erdtree. I'm like, I definitely want to, but I'm like, when the fuck am I going to do that? I'm about to start playing Pacific Drive tomorrow, and then we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth shortly after that, and that's going to lead me straight into Rise of the Ronin, and that's going to lead me straight into Stellar Blade. It's like, dude, I understand that this year is weaker on paper, but like, that is a fucking insane run.
Yeah.
I wish we did spread these out.
Yeah.
Why can't Stellar Blade come out in like July or something? That would be perfect.
I do think we're in a good spot now where it's like, okay, May, we will be able to take a deep breath. We'll be able to lock in for summer showcase season. We'll be able to catch up. April with Stellar Blade, it's like, I know it comes out late April. We'll probably beat it in like 2-ish weeks. Like, it won't be a day release unless we get codes for it. early and everything.
I wonder if at that point we might be able to, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
that'll be an interesting one because it's published by SIE, but it's not SIE. But so we'll see
Right.
what it is. Anyways, but like I'm excited for the rest of this year. Do you want to run through your list compared to this list?
Shoot, not. Yeah,
I wrote mine down.
I didn't.
Yeah, so you're fine too.
So I would
If you were to do your list, what would it be?
Dragon Age at 10, Overwatch at 9. It Takes Two at well, I would put BG3 at 8. No, I would put BG3 at 9 just from my personal preference.
Oh, you're just going preference?
Yeah.
I was saying between us debating where would like because for me
then this is a perfect list in my mind.
Okay, yeah. But the only thing that I would debate around is I did have BG3 one spot higher than The Witcher 3.
Okay.
I did have God of War one spot higher, so I have God of War 2018 at number 3. I think that the top 3 games are masterpieces, so that's where I'm at. Breath of the Wild at 4, BG3 at 5, The Witcher 3 at 6. I had It Takes Two when I wrote my list over Sekiro because I can make a strong case that it's the greatest co-op game ever, and I think it's an extremely special game. In the same way that I said it earlier, of like Sekiro is sort of in its own spot where it's like you could make the case it's the best FromSoft game. It's a really hard case though to make with games like Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, and Elden Ring. Whereas It Takes Two does something, it sets out to do something, and does it perfectly. And then Sekiro, Dragon Age, and Overwatch. That's what I had written down. But I was very malleable on certain things. Whereas like God of War and Breath of the Wild, I think is the only major debate that we could have. Because that's just where I'm at. Anyways, we need to draft because you need to start streaming in 33 minutes.
Yep. I mean, we're doing great. It's a 40-minute podcast at this point. Like that's our goal. I think we've said this on the podcast originally for these podcasts was to do 40 minutes. Like that was our cap because we didn't expect people to be willing or want to listen to us ramble on for an hour and a half. Like we're like, how can we expect the early podcast we shot were somewhere like 2.5 hours, like something crazy like that. So now we reduced it to 40, and that was the expectation. So everything above that is gravy for the most part. But we're gonna let it fly as long as it needs to be, unless we're on a time constraint.
Especially on Sundays.
Right
Sunday pods are just like it's the last thing we shoot. We already shoot the TikTok slate. It's like, okay, how late do we want Old Nicky Two Shoes to be editing till? But other than that, it's really pretty chill to be like, all right, let's take 2 hours if we need to shoot pod.
Okie dokie. Move all this stuff off the table, please. Also, your legs. Fix your pants.
My pants aren't in shot.
Okay. Well, for the podcast.
It's also compression shorts I got under my shorts.
Still, I mean, you got to charge for that.
The thighs, the yams.
Alrighty. I'm starting off.
Yeah. It's funny. I did accidentally just see your number, or I saw the first letter to your number 1, so I think I know what it is.
Today, we are drafting PlayStation 3 games, one of my favorite consoles of all time. Made my bones on this console. Just really grew up on this thing. With the first overall pick, I'm going to take The Last of Us.
You piece of shit.
Yeah, I know. Even though I have a game above it in my head, what I know is the better game. On paper, The Last of Us is the PS3 for a lot of people. We're taking The Last of Us first overall. Great story. I love the combat in The Last of Us. I know a lot of people don't like it. Great characters. Visuals blew my mind on the PS3 back in the day, and they've just gotten better and better. So yeah, The Last of Us was my first overall pick. What are you going to do, Nikki?
You put me in the worst spot ever,
What are you going to do?
Because I have 2 games on this list, including your number 1, that I could pick. I should pick. I'm first going to start out with picking Portal 2. Because it's a masterpiece. It's a 10 out of 10 game. It's the greatest puzzler of all time. That's got to be my number 1 pick. I got to pivot. Like I'm upset now because I knew that you had a game
Mickey's
way
all
higher.
flustered.
So do I give you the game or do I give the game that I believe is the PlayStation 3? And I'm gonna give the game that is the PlayStation 3 on my team. I'm going to pick Uncharted 2 with my next choice. It has the blockbuster moment in gaming, maybe history, of that opening sequence. Like, it is cemented as that is what made that series one of the most special series in all of gaming. That's what made Nathan Drake one of the coolest mother effers in all of gaming. Like, it is really, really an important game. I think it's extremely influential for the games that we get nowadays when it comes to visuals. It's one of the most stunning games of all time at its time. It really was like, wait, this is what games can look like. It gave us that moment. Yeah, give me Uncharted 2. Take fucking Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I can't leave this draft
I
without
appreciate it.
doing Portal 2, which I think is a 10, and Uncharted 2, which I think is like one of the greatest and most important games of all time.
It is worth noting, it doesn't need to be exclusive, obviously.
Yes.
So that's why Nick gets Portal 2. And that's why, with my second pick, I'm going to take Mass Effect 2, one of the greatest RPGs of all time. Great cast of characters, getting the band back together, dude. I love that kind of storytelling in games. I love getting a crew together.
Connor, why don't you like Fast 5 then? Come on.
And one of the greatest final missions in video games, Mass Effect 2, with my second pick. With my...
I know what you're picking next.
With my third pick, I'm going to go with GTA 5. I'm going to go with GTA 5 here.
You gave me a chance.
Yeah. I'm going to go with I think GTA 4 is a better game, but I think GTA 5 is the more important game on PS3. Obviously, based off of how long it has lasted, GTA 5 has been remastered and remade on generation after generation now. GTA 5 with my third pick.
He fucked up. I'm choosing BioShock.
Okay.
Like, you fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
because I'm shocked. I do have GTA as my game right after BioShock.
You're shocked.
I am very shocked. I do have GTA as that next game up. I think that's a great pick. But when you're talking about the elite games, especially the elite stories, BioShock's one of the greatest story games of all time. Like, and I think it's one of the most atmospheric games of all time. I think it's also like the reason we're looking for Ken Levine's next game is BioShock. And yeah, I'm going to choose BioShock with my next pick. I'm just very happy to have it. I went from really sad with my team to now stoked. And now I'm going to get a little weird. With my next pick, I'm choosing Dead Space.
Nice.
A game that Connor thinks is basically horror perfection. A game that I've only played the remake of that I think is a really damn good video game. At the end of the day, understand why this game is so important to horror games, the PS3 generation. And at the end of the day, I said at the end of the day a lot. When it's all said and done, going with a new one, the plasma cutter is probably one of the greatest weapons in gaming history. I love it.
All right. With my fourth pick, I am going to go with Infamous 2. One of the greatest sequels of all time, a series that needs to make a comeback. I would love a new Infamous game, but I guess we just got to settle with Ghost of Tsushima for Sucker Punch for now. But I would love another studio to get another crack at Infamous. So Infamous 2 with my fourth pick. With my fifth pick, I got a few directions to go here. I'm going to go with Dark Souls. I'm going to pick the best game on the board here, even though I thought about, keep this in, I thought about taking Resistance 3 here.
Whoa.
A game that I fucking love that doesn't get talked about enough. I love Resistance 3, but I'm going to take the better game with Dark Souls. I don't need to talk about Dark Souls. You know. Okay, Dark Souls was my last pick.
Connor, that's a good pick. It's a very necessary pick on this board. It's a frustrating pick to have on your team. That's what I would have picked with my last choice, literally just for the votes, literally just for the comments. It's like last week's draft with me picking Bloodborne. It's like, if you get a FromSoft game, you're going to do well in the comments. But with my last pick, I could go with something a little bit smaller like The Walking Dead. I could choose something like Journey. But I'm going to go and say, fuck the small games. I want the biggest thing ever. And that is Black Ops Mother effing 2, big dog. Black Ops 2 has some of the greatest zombies maps of all time. It has a great campaign. And there's nothing like just mowing down your friends on Nuketown or Raid or Hijacked. Some of the most amazing multiplayer moments of all time. And something that's pretty underrated is the creative class in that game is perfect. The way that you distribute points and everything. It's really, really well done. And so, yeah, I'm going to go with BO2. It's one of the greatest games of all time. It's a game that is a lot higher on Connor's greatest list than Dark Souls.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, I'm choosing BO2.
Alrighty. That was your casual gaming conversation for this week. Thanks so much for hanging with us. Peace out.